Have you ever wondered what the perfect education system would look like? One that doesn't just teach you facts and figures, but actually helps you become the best version of yourself. Well, over 2000 years ago, one of the greatest minds in history, Plato, thought long and hard about this exact question, and his ideas might be more relevant today than you think. Plato wasn't just a philosopher. He was a visionary. He believed that the purpose of education wasn't just to get a good job or make a lot of money. For him, education was the key to creating a just and harmonious society, a society led by wise and virtuous rulers he called philosopher kings. It was about shaping the soul, building character, and helping every individual find their true potential. So how did he propose we do this? Let's dive into Plato's revolutionary blueprint for education, as laid out in his masterpiece, The Republic. Plato's system starts from the very beginning, from birth. He believed that the earliest years are the most crucial for shaping a child's character. Forget about letting kids do whatever they want. Plato argued for a carefully curated environment. Even the stories told to children, the fairy tales and myths, had to be chosen with extreme care. He would have been the ultimate content moderator, filtering out any stories that showed gods or heroes behaving badly. Why? Because he knew that these early stories form a child's first understanding of right and wrong, of good and evil. He wanted to fill their minds with tales of courage, honesty, and justice, building a strong moral foundation before they could even read. As children grew, their education would expand to include two main pillars, music and gymnastics. Now, when Plato says music, he doesn't just mean learning to play an instrument. He meant what the Greeks called, which included poetry, dance, song, and literature, basically the arts and humanities. This was the education for the soul. It was meant to cultivate a sense of harmony, grace, and rhythm in a person's character, making them balanced and temperate. But again, censorship was key. Only music and poetry that promoted order and virtue were allowed. No sad songs or chaotic rhythms that might stir up negative emotions. The other pillar was gymnastics, which wasn't just about building big muscles. It was about physical fitness for the sake of a healthy mind. Plato famously said that a healthy mind resides in a healthy body. Gymnastics was designed to instill discipline, courage, and resilience. It wasn't about creating aggressive warriors, but about training citizens who were strong both physically and mentally, ready to face any challenge with a steady hand and a clear head. The goal was a perfect balance, the arts to soften the spirit and physical training to harden the body, preventing a person from becoming either too soft or too brutal. This foundational stage of education would last until about the age of 20. At this point, a great sorting would happen. The first major selection process. Those who excelled in their training and showed the most discipline and potential would move on to the next, more advanced stage of education. Those who didn't would be assigned to other roles in society, like becoming artisans, farmers, or soldiers, based on their natural aptitudes. In Plato's ideal state, everyone has a role to play where they can contribute best. And there's no shame in that. It's all about finding your place and serving the community. For the select few who move on, the real intellectual heavy lifting begins. From age 20 to 30, their curriculum shifts to the hard sciences. We're talking about arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and harmonics. But Plato's goal here wasn't just to create mathematicians or astronomers. He saw these subjects as training for the mind. They teach abstract thinking, logic, and the ability to see beyond the physical world to the underlying patterns and principles that govern the universe. Arithmetic teaches you about pure numbers, geometry about perfect shapes, and astronomy about the orderly movements of the heavens. These subjects are the bridge, leading the student away from the world of senses and towards the world of pure thought. After 10 years of intense mathematical and scientific study, another test comes. At age 30, the students face another rigorous selection. Those who pass this hurdle are deemed ready for the highest and most important subject of all, dialectic. This is the pinnacle of Plato's educational system. Dialectic is the art of philosophical conversation and debate. It's about asking critical questions, challenging assumptions, and relentlessly pursuing the truth through logical argument. For 5 years, these elite students would immerse themselves in philosophy, wrestling with the biggest questions of existence. What is justice? What is truth? What is beauty? What is the good? This is where they learn to grasp the ultimate reality, what Plato called the form of the good. The form of the good is the highest principle in Plato's philosophy. It's the source of all truth, knowledge, and goodness. To understand it is to understand everything. A ruler who grasps the form of the good, Plato argued, would be incapable of acting unjustly. They would govern not for personal gain or power, but with true wisdom and a desire for the well-being of the entire state. This is the training that creates the philosopher king. But their education isn't over yet. After 5 years of intense philosophy, at age 35, these future leaders are sent back down into the cave. If you're familiar with Plato's allegory of the cave, you'll know what this means. They must leave the ivory tower of abstract thought and return to the practical world of everyday life. For the next 15 years, they take on various administrative and military roles, gaining real-world, hands-on experience in governing. They have to apply their philosophical wisdom to the messy, complicated realities of politics and human affairs. This is their final test. It proves whether their philosophical knowledge can actually work in practice. Finally, at the age of 50, those who have proven themselves to be both wise in theory and effective in practice are ready to rule. They have completed the long, arduous journey of Platonic education. They are the philosopher kings, the guardians of the state. They rule not because they want to, but because they have to. They see it as their duty to guide the city towards justice and harmony, using the wisdom they spent a lifetime acquiring. Now let's be real. Plato's system sounds pretty extreme, right? State-controlled upbringing, heavy censorship, a rigid class structure determined by tests. It's certainly not a model we'd want to copy and paste into the 21st century. His ideas about equality were also limited. This entire system was designed primarily for an elite group of men. But if we look past the authoritarian elements, there are some powerful takeaways for us today. Think about his emphasis on character education. Are our schools doing enough to teach not just knowledge, but also virtue, empathy, and resilience? Plato's idea of a balanced education combining the arts, sciences, and physical fitness is a timeless principle. In a world that's increasingly specialized, he reminds us of the importance of being a well-rounded human being. And what about his core idea that education's ultimate goal is to understand the world and make it a better place? That leadership should be based on wisdom and a commitment to the common good, not on wealth or popularity. These are profound questions we should still be asking ourselves. Plato's vision challenges us to think bigger about what education is for. Is it just about personal success, or is it also about our shared responsibility to create a more just and enlightened society? Plato's educational system was a radical, ambitious dream. While its methods are debatable, its core mission to cultivate wisdom and virtue for the good of all remains a powerful and inspiring goal. It forces us to reflect on our own values and ask, what is the true purpose of learning? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the mind of Plato. What do you think? Could our modern education system learn a thing or two from these ancient ideas? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and want to explore more big ideas from history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching.